In this video, we will learn how to get help for Linux commands from within the system. So let us begin. One may feel that the Linux users like me will be required to remember a lot of commands with all the options associated with those commands. On the contrary, we tend to remember only some basic commands which we use regularly and only a handful of options associated with them. Memorizing the commands or its utility and options are not needed. The Linux itself helps us explain the behavior of a command and of the options if one knows where to look for. In the previous video, we discussed few very basic commands and couple of commands had certain options associated with them. Those options helped us in modifying its utility. Every Linux distribution comes with its own technical reference manual stored within the system. It can be accessed completely or partially as and when we need. This manual will have a lot of information about the commands and about the options associated with them. So let us see how to get help from Linux. The simplest way to get help in most Linux systems is to type what is followed by the command. What is, as in the English terms what and is, without any space between them. For example, I will type what is ls. It tells me that ls is used for listing down the directory contents. A very brief information about the command. Let me try this with pwd. What is pwd? It tells me that the pwd helps me view the name and path of the current working directory. In case we need a detailed information, then we can refer to the manual pages. It is the technical reference manual that I was speaking about earlier. This manual can be accessed by typing man, man, and the command name. For example, man ls, and I press enter. This takes me to a different view of the screen within the same terminal or shell. Even the man page tells me that ls is used to list the directory contents. But along with it, I also got a sort of synopsis. Here it tells me that ls can have some options, followed by the file or folder as an argument. And then comes some kind of detailed information about the command. Like here, it tells me that by default, it sorts the names alphabetically while displaying the list. This is followed by various options here. Scrolling up and down shows me that there are really a lot of options with this command. I use up arrow key and down arrow key to scroll. -l. This is one of the options that we have used, haven't we? I can also scroll by using B or the letter F. F for forward and B for moving backward. I see a number here. Number 1. Well, internally the manual pages are all numbered, and the page number 1 stands for all the commands. So are there more pages? Yes, certainly. So what else can exist apart from commands? Well, there are manual pages for function calls, games, and many more such stuff, which are out of scope for our current discussion. It is not required for us to remember these page numbers. We only have to remember to type man and the name of the command for which we need some help. Here at the bottom of the screen, I have a little status bar that tells me I am on line 1 and offers some options to help. Or it even tells me that pressing Q will quit the man page. Let us say I wanted to search for what option to use for sorting. I will type / and then sort, S-O-R-T. Wherever the text sort appears is highlighted. I press the letter N to go to the next selection or Shift plus n to go to the previous selection. I probably will have to use -s, uppercase S, to display the list of files and directories in sorted form of size. I will exit the man page by pressing Q. Q stands for quit. That was the man page. Most commands also have an option called help, which provides some amount of information about the command. Let us test this by typing ls -help. And let me press enter. By scrolling up and down, we can see a lot of options mentioned here. For example, the -s is also mentioned here. So, you can get minimal information about the command by typing what is, or you can type man and get a detailed information. I will press Q and go back to the shell. I can also use -help by typing ls -help. But what if we do not know the name of a command? I mean, what if we want to implement something but we are not aware of which command to use? In this scenario, we can use another command called apropos. Apropos searches a list of commands and also searches their descriptions for the text that we have provided. Let us say I am looking for a web browser to get online and visit some pages. I'm not sure which command helps me launch a web browser. I may not even be sure that if there's any such application installed. Typing apropos and then in double quotes browser will search for the text browser in the list of commands or in the list of the description of commands. The double quotes signify that my argument is some form of text. Let me press enter. Here you go. These are the commands where it could find the term browser. The term could have been in the command itself or in the description of the command. I guess Firefox is what I'll use. I can type Firefox in the command prompt and it probably will launch the Firefox application. Oh yes, it does. Well, I don't need it now, so I'll go ahead and close this. Let us try some other example with apropos. Let us say I wanted to find a way to rename my files. I would write apropos rename. And there are some results it offers me. Not everything may suffice my need, but I do have some options to test this out. So we had a thorough discussion on how to extract help using what is, man, help, and apropos. In this module, we tried to familiarize ourselves with how the command line interpreter or the shell works. We started with understanding the Linux architecture and what role does the shell play. We then learned on how to write commands at the shell prompt. We understood the structure of a command line along with the way we can provide options and arguments to the command. We learned a few basic Linux commands before understanding how to fetch help for the commands. Let us start using the command line more extensively in the next module.